Okay, good morning everybody. Apologies for anyone that started watching the channel and was expecting some study videos to come up. I've changed jobs twice since starting the channel, so that's kind of taken my focus away from that, but I'm back at it now. Also, since starting the channel, I've had a bit of housework done, and this has prompted me to change my home network a bit. So if I just run you through what I currently have, this is my garage basically, and the garage has been half converted into an office. So this area here is where my office currently sits. Um, so I have a switch in here which connects via a power line adapter into my lounge, which then connects to my firewall and router and then out to the internet. We had some electrical work done in the house, and since this has been completed, the power line adapter just does not seem to want to work properly, keeps on dropping out. So this has prompted me to redesign the network a little bit, and we are due to convert the rest of the garage next year, so we will be moving the office out of this area and into here, and also creating a bit of room for my wife to have a bit of office space as well. And then this area, which was my office, will become just a cloakroom. So to get around the power line issue, um, what I'm actually doing is having my cabling guy come in and wire the house. Yeah, so my internet connection, my ADSL, actually comes into the lounge at the moment. So I'll get him to move that up into the loft. And in the loft, I'll be installing a 12U rack up there. And I'll be moving my PC up there as well, and then centralizing all the network elements into the loft, and then getting him to wire various data points around the house back up into the loft, so we will have full connectivity and we won't have to rely on power line adapters, which should fix the issues we've been having. So this is the 12U rack layout that we'll be going for. So you can see there's 10 used at the moment, 2 for patch panels, 2 for cable tidies, a PDU. It's not the actual PDU that I'll be using, it's just a bog standard 6-port PDU, but I couldn't find a stencil for the PDU that I have. A console server to stop me having to go up into the loft anytime I lose connectivity to any one of my devices. And then this is a new switch that I purchased for this new design. It's just a 24 port 2960X. This is a 3560 CX switch that I have already, which is currently running the network at home. This is an ASA 5506 that is using to segregate my networks, my lab network from my home network. And this is just a little 800 series router, Cisco again. So physically this is what the network will look like up in the loft. And then logically this is how it will all connect together. So basically everything will patch into the 2960 switch, which will act as a layer 2 switch for all the devices to connect to. Anything that's on my home network that I trust will terminate on a gateway on the 3560 switch. Anything that I don't trust, so the guest wireless network, IoT devices and the lab networks will pass straight through the 3560 layer 2 and actually terminate on the firewall, and that way I can control what access them devices have into my home network, if any. For the most part, I will just route them straight out to the internet. And that's the only access that they will have. Yep, eventually. So my PC at the moment, which lives in my office, will be moved up into the loft and will act as more of a server for both my home and lab environment. And this is how it will be broken down. The PC is actually getting a bit of an upgrade. I've upgraded my processor to an i9-10980XE, which is a 18 core 36 thread processor. That's already in there. I have 128 gig of RAM. I'm going to upgrade that to 256 to enable me to get the most out of my lab environment. And then I've added a couple of hard drives in there. So the 1 terabyte NVMe I already had, the 2 terabytes of NVMe on RAID I already had. I did have 4 terabytes of RAID, which was in RAID 0. I've now upgraded this to 8 terabytes and put it in RAID 5 to give me some redundancy. And I've also added a 500 gig NVMe to be the OS drive for my home server, and then 1 terabyte SSD, which I kind of don't need. I just used it to move the stuff off the old storage RAID that I had, so that I could wipe the old RAID drives and create a new RAID drive without losing any of my data. So the setup here is that my PC will stay as it is, but I've since installed Hyper-V on here. I previously ran VMware Workstation. However, this limited me to 16 cores and 64 gig of RAM to any one virtual machine. But I want to start using EVE-NG in a lot bigger topologies, so I need a lot more CPUs and RAM for that. So I've moved to Hyper-V, and I'll be making a video of how to install EVE-NG on Hyper-V after this one. So my machine, I won't allocate this. This is basically what's going to be left over from what I allocate to these two servers, but it should leave me with 8 cores and 32 gig of RAM. The 8 cores at the moment, the CPU is clocked to 4 gig across all 36 cores, so it should be more than ample for most stuff that I want to do. Yeah, I'll leave the 1 terabyte NVMe storage on there and the 1 terabyte SSD, and I'll be using the motherboard network adapter for that. So here we have an Active Directory server which will be serving my home network, and also attached to that is the 8 terabytes of RAID 5 storage. So this is just going to act as a network attached storage device for anyone at home to store pictures, documents, files, whatever they want. So yeah, the Active Directory will have 4 cores and 32 gig of RAM. Probably more than it needs, but better too much than too little. And yes, the 2 drives that will be allocating to this will be directly attached. So this will be on what they call pass-through, so that there is no virtual hard disk. It's just we tell the virtual machine to talk directly to the hard drives in place. And I'll be doing the same for the network adapter, again just in pass-through mode. So each virtual machine will have a physical hard drive and a physical network adapter attached to it. For my EVE-NG, I'll be allocating the most resources, so 24 cores, 192 gig of RAM, the 2 terabyte RAID 0 NVMe, and again its own physical network adapter. Okay, thank you for watching.